Welcome back, folks, and welcome to episode 10 of our Hard Mode plus Snowrunner playthrough. We're going to get some scouting done today, and I would like to apologize for missing this week's episodes. Part of that was that I thought I'd already recorded them, and part of it was that I've just been working so much I didn't notice that I hadn't. Until I looked at my comments and said, oh, there's no new video up. But that's alright. That's kind of the nature of the game. It's not really a busy season for me at work, but it is busier, if that makes any sense. We'll get caught back up here though. But as I said, we're going to do some scouting today. I've made some adjustments to the audio, so hopefully my commentary is a little bit clearer now than it was. The engine audio is a bit lower than I initially wanted it, but I think it works out fine. I think the music is a better choice there. And the ambient tracks for Snowrunner are absolutely phenomenal in pretty much every region. I love it. But we're going to knock out the remaining 2 watchtowers, I believe, over here in Black River. And there's an upgrade or 2 we need to get. Especially if we're going to be doing North American trucks only. We are going to need everything like all the equipment in our fleet is going to have to be as top shelf as we can get it. And there is plenty still to do. There's a truck back here that needs pulled out. This oil tank needs pulled out. The Kodiak's sitting over there. We've got lots of chores to do. Thankfully, we now have some extra equipment to help us with that. Are these accepted already? Drainage is, stuck trailer is, oil tanker is, and local entertainment is. So let's go down. We have not done Riverside Repair, which is funny because we drove right by it to get the scout. Meteorology is a time trial. See, I don't know if I even want to mess with these. Maybe we'll make like a day of that towards the end of the series altogether and just go map to map, hitting the challenges. I think that would be kind of fun. Give me a little bit of time to forget the map. Looks like we don't actually have any tasks to accept here unless we uncover some, and I'm 99% certain we won't. Actually, there's one. There's that truck. We also need to pull that truck out. So let's head for this watchtower right here. Actually, no. Let's head for this upgrade first. And no. Let's head for this upgrade first. So let's just head on into town. And we'll go from there. I think that makes the most sense. I'm going to try and get Black River and Smithville Dam both knocked out today. Since they are both largely sorted out, we've swapped our Jeep for this very capable Scout 800. Maybe a little too capable, honestly. It's cruising right now. But that crawler suspension upgrade they gave it really changed the way this truck handles. The very first playthrough I made of the game, I spent an awful lot of time in the Scout 800. And would actually like to find my way to get a hold of one of these someday when I've got the financial means to do that sort of project. Because I just think it would be cool to have. But I remembered it being very top heavy. It's of course, you know, it's got a narrow track width, fairly short wheelbase for what it is. But since they buffed it and gave it just an acre of repair parts and fuel, honestly, and spare tires too, it's going to be a good workhorse Scout for us for a long time. But we've got it about as upgraded as we can get it for the moment. I believe we did that last episode. It's been a minute. I do think we'll spend a lot less time in four-wheel. Just because this truck has a permanent diff lock on it. which goes a lot farther than you would think it would. I've, in my own playing here and there, because I do still play in the evenings, even if it's just 20 or 30 minutes to, you know, do one mission and unwind a little bit after work. Even if I'm not up on everything or playing multiplayer, I still do that. But I've been getting a lot of success running around stuff like the White Western Star with just the diff lock on. And it's been wonderful. The fuel savings is tremendous. Although I don't think it actually matters in this truck. We're going to check it here because I can't remember. And if you don't know this trick, you're going to look at your fuel burn down there. Right now it's 0.2 gallons per minute. And you're just going to activate your all-wheel drive and see if it changes. Ours did. It kicked up to 0.3. So there is, we're using the Snowrunner box. So the Snowrunner box does have a fuel burn penalty for the all-wheel drive in the Scout 800. I don't know what the percentage is. There are far nerdier folks than me out there that have done much testing and spreadsheet making, for which I am appreciative. But that one is not a stat I would bother to look up. But it is good to know. I do try to kind of keep track of, you know, what are my more fuel-hungry trucks and how to operate them the best way. Of course, with Scouts, it's usually kind of a moot point. They don't burn a ton of fuel to start with. But just as an example, you know, here we are getting up to just under 3 gallons a minute, climbing uphill with that in four-wheel drive. So it is worth paying attention to. And let's see what we got here. The top engine, I believe, for the Chevy. I'm not sure why anybody would want to use that. It's already going to be, I think, well, you know what, I'm not going to say without the stats in front of me. I will say that most of the Scouts are already at or near an S power to weight ratio in most cases. And honestly, as long as it can haul its own butt, what else do you need it to do? I mean, anything beyond that's just burning fuel, so make sure the upgrades you're putting on actually make sense, is what I'm trying to say. And we are well on our way to the next upgrade. I believe this is the last upgrade on Michigan. And then we'll be hitting watchtowers. Let's just take a peek here. There's one there. I'm going to say we've already gotten that one. Just based on the way this is explored, I'm sure we got that one. And there's another one. Where's that? Right in here. And we've definitely got that one. I think that's the Snowrunner box. But we want to get the map opened up. We want to get all of our tasks accepted. And I kind of want to do this. It's going to be, I'm not going to say boring, but definitely a specific couple episodes coming up here, because we're going to knock all this out as best we can. We may leave a few stragglers if we're not in the area in terms of things that need accepted. I'm usually really bad about that with scout tasks, because sometimes it's nice to leave a few bones. That way you can, you know, if you're in the mood for something else, so you get a truck really hung up in a bad situation and you just kind of need to walk away from it, but you still want to play the game. That leaves you a few things to switch tasks and kind of just get into a different mindset for a minute. Sometimes you go do that, you had your fun, and when you come back to the tangled up truck mess you got, you're in the headspace to solve the problem. I'm not going to intentionally leave a bunch, but like I said, if, like for this map, I'm not going to go up here and do local entertainment. It's up there, it's an easy task, it would make us some money. It's just driving around up here knocking over some barrels. But I am going to keep that in the back pocket, because there's nothing else I need to drive up there for right now. You know, most of the missions on this map are logs at this point. And I just want to get it cleaned up. So we're going to leave stuff like that in the bank. It's just a lot of driving for no gain. Right now. But, you know, later it may very well be a good distraction. Oh, I hope everybody else is having a nice, calm, collected week. As I mentioned, my week, 2 weeks now, really, have been busy. And it was very strange, because I was expecting an extremely busy week with inspections going on and all that, and then it got canceled. And that actually turned out to be the quiet week, because no one was allowed to take vacation during that period either. So everyone was at work. There was no overtime. It was just, skating on down the rink. And since then, we've had our full complement of people that can be out at once out on vacation, and just making the week kind of long. Here's the raised for the Chevy. We're not using it, but it's good to have. Eventually, I would like to have more than one well-outfitted scout vehicle. It's just, it's a nice safety net to have another highly mobile vehicle that can get into places and work through rough terrain. It's also just convenient sometimes. Maybe you leave one on one end of a map and you turn out to need it. Or you just need something small to run across somewhere and you've left one in a kind of a pain location to get it out of. It's just nice to have two in those instances. I mean, ultimately you're going to want to have to go collect it and clean it up or pay to recover it, but it's nice to have an extra one in the barn, just like in real life. It's always good to have a second way to get to work if you need it. But work's been busy, and the weather here has gotten gratuitously warm, in my opinion, in rather rapid fashion. We went from 60-degree days up to a couple days of like 90, 91, 92, with typical Ohio humidity. And although I'm not new to the game working outside, I managed to give myself a pretty good case of heat stroke. So that has been another reason I haven't really been paying all that much attention. Quite honestly, I spent a day or two just kind of laying around the house, drinking water, and getting sorted out. And you do have to be careful with that. A lot of people don't give heat stress injury the credit it deserves. It can be a pretty rough day for you. And something most people don't consider either is that once you've had a heat stress injury, you are more likely to have another one in the near future, at a lower threshold as well. So, well, I thought we'd almost made it there. Hey, there we go. Kind of. Nope. Boy, it's just an unfortunate place to be here. But yeah, if you find yourself with a heat injury, you definitely want to take the time and let your body recover. One, get rehydrated, get your electrolytes back in balance where they belong. But just be that much more cognizant of your exposure. And this applies to heat or cold. Something I have to kind of keep a close eye on in the winter too. Although I'll admit, I have never once had hypothermia working for the post office. But I have most definitely had mild cases of heat exhaustion. And it's the nature of the work, it's the geographical location. And, earlier this week, I just wasn't paying attention. I was drinking plenty of water, I was sweating plenty, but if the humidity's, 80% and it's not evaporating, then it's not doing anything to cool your body. And I made it through the day just fine. I didn't really put two and two together until I was home, showered, laying in bed, and realized I still felt like I was outside and it was 60 degrees inside. So definitely, to anybody out there that, works out in the elements, definitely use that as a reminder. to drink some extra water, take an extra 5 minutes in the air conditioner on your break or whatever, and make sure you're staying safe out there. The funniest part of that story, and there is a funny part, is that I was well aware of all that because I was texting my trainees going, hey, make sure you pound them water today. And just kind of in general being a mother hen. And then, 6-8 hours later when I'm laying at home, I realize, oh, you idiot. Should have took your own advice. But all's good. All's well. I've recovered from that, and I'm feeling much better about life in general. And if I'm completely honest, that is usually a mistake I make at least annually. Especially when we have kind of the slow to start summer we've had this year. It's been wonderful weather. I can't really complain about it, if I'm honest. We've been under 75 so far since the weather, warmed up and it quit snowing. And that's just gorgeous weather to do any kind of outdoor work in. So that first one usually does catch me by surprise, and then I suffer for a day or two through something I know better about, and, for the rest of the year, it's all good. I can hear the music, but it's just... I don't know... I think next episode I'm going to try something a little different. I think I'm going to either find or record from the game itself the Michigan ambient soundtrack and just overlay that over the video. Or use the video as an overlay of it, one or the other. I'll combine it somewhere in post. That way I get a more consistent background music, both in terms of level and consistency. Because I'm not sure what the play frequency is, or if it's meant to have gaps in it. Sometimes I've got it really well on the headphones, and sometimes it's just not there at all. But we've about wrapped up Michigan here. We got this one last watchtower to get to, and we're actually going to do a little plotting here. Yeah, I thought so. This is the road we want to take in. And probably out too, if we're being realistic. But I'm pretty confident this truck will do the job. It's a bit of a mess back in there. A muddy, muddy mess. But we're on some good-sized tires. They're not highway tires. Speaking of, let's, I need to refresh real quick. Okay, we're rank 6. That's not terrible. We have 2 vehicles left to discover. 2? 2. Should only be 1. We have the twin steer, right? Okay, now I'm confused. But we'll knock out this watchtower and then we'll revisit that mystery. Oh, maybe I was overconfident in the abilities of this vehicle. And see, that looks like nice packed mud. Fairly dry until you get into it with the truck, and then it's just a mess. Seems a bit misleading. Don't forget to use your rescue winch when and where you need it. It's amazing just how much trouble you can save yourself with a quick safety line off to the side like that. And now you see what I was talking about. This whole area back here is pretty swampy. And what you want to do is you want to kind of zigzag back here so that you've got trees to pull off of if you need it. And despite this being a swampy mess, it was actually easier to get through than the mud back there on the trail. Go figure. Okay, there's the drowned scouts. That is all of our watchtowers. I'm still curious about these 2 vehicles, though. It says we've only found 6 out of 8. So on this map, let's just do a count real quick. Okay, we got the Fleet Star. We didn't have a Chevy to start off with. We had a Jeep. We've got the GMC. We've gotten the Scout 800. So the only truck on this map we haven't got is the Kodiak. So there's one of the possible 2. Smithville has a pickup down here, but we've recovered that already. We've also pulled out the TranStar. There's none back in there that I can remember. Ah, we haven't officially... Oh yeah, we did. So there's the Fleet Star, but there's no Twin Steer, so we got the Twin Steer out. Unless there's another scout vehicle on this map that I can't remember. I don't think so, though. And on Drummond, yep, we've gotten the P-16. So I don't know what that second vehicle it's saying we're missing is. I guess we'll discover that in time as we go. For now, let's make our way... Well, first let's pop around the corner here to the gas station. And using this thing with an Xbox controller is just fidgety sometimes. It's almost easier to do this game like half and half. Half keyboard and mouse, half controller. And there are proponents for all of the above, and I say, do what works for you. I know a lot of Elite Dangerous players that are keyboard and mouse. I know a couple that are Xbox controller. And I know a whole bunch of us that are stick and throttle or stick and stick people. And pretty much everybody is willing to die on the hill of what controller scheme they use. I myself, I'm just traveling or, you know, just kind of dinking around, not doing anything serious, I can get by with an Xbox controller and switch my controls over. But if I'm mining or dogfighting or something, I've got to have my sticks out, hooked up. And similarly with this game, I played it at first with keyboard and mouse. Got pretty good at it. But I do find controller to be far more comfortable. The only thing I've really given up is camera control, because this is front and back on your stick, and there is nothing I can do to change that. I've looked, unless as a last-ditch effort, I may see if I can run down a way to change that directly in the game configuration files, so that the only option is to zoom the camera out more, because I literally never zoom it in, even when I probably could to get some better visibility, like in a forest or something. The simple fact is, 9 times out of 10, I'm just steering and accidentally cross that axis, and it's nothing but a nuisance. So that's a strike against controller. And the winch connectivity is way better with a mouse, because you just mouse over the point, click and drag to whatever you're winching to, instead of having to cycle through potential options. So I would say winching also goes to keyboard and mouse over controller. But that's, you know, if I need to reach up and do that, the mouse is right there. It's not the end of the world in either case. So I go back to do what works for you. The important thing is that you have a good time and find what you do to be easy and intuitive. Everybody else can do the same. Alright. Well, that knocks out Black River in terms of scouting. How are we? Oof. Oh, brother. Yeah, we've got some work to do over here. That one's kind of a pain to get to. That one's a pain to get to. Honestly, these two aren't terrible. So let's come back into Smithville. We'll hit this one. There's an upgrade up there we'll go get, and then we'll hit that one. Yeah, we're going to be busy bees this evening. Definitely don't need four-wheel on pavement. It's just going to burn fuel. And fuel is a precious thing in this playthrough. I'm back to debating, though, if I want to allow myself to skip around and pick up trucks. Because I honestly don't remember what I decided on that. I would have to go back and watch the episodes. But my current thinking is that if I'm going to limit myself to only North American trucks, there may be some instances where I want to jump around to collect a North American truck or two, and specifically in my mind is the Dairy Special in Ontario, because it is a pretty good high saddle hauler, and it's good for a couple of other things as well. In my opinion, better than either of the other dairies. But the 4520 is not bad too, or 4250. I can never remember which way it goes. We are going to end up buying a few trucks in this playthrough. I did think, briefly at least, about making it a found truck only playthrough, but honestly I enjoy a lot of the DLC trucks, and not all of them are found. The dairy we'll probably end up using until we get to where the Dairy Special is not a truck you find in game anywhere. This thing have a snorkel? It sure don't. I would do well to remember that. And since we've got 21 grand in the bank there, I'm going to go ahead and assume that that was not a monetary decision. I'm going to guess we hadn't unlocked snorkels for this vehicle yet. Which is kind of BS, because I'm fairly certain we had a snorkel on the Chevy, and I think we had one on the Jeep. In my opinion, Scout snorkels should all unlock the same level. Oh, I hate that trailer. I don't have too many nitpicks about the game, but honestly, that trailer is pretty awful. And I know there's people out there that love it, but I ain't one of them. If I'm going to do a trailer, it's going to be a 2-sideboard plus 2-sideboard combo vehicle, or 5th-wheel trailer. Oh, nose first, right in the mud. Ooh, you know what? That is actually a really cool... Maybe. Can I make this work? Still need a thumbnail. It's a pretty good shot with the watchtower in the background. Let's, Can we go top looking down and get it all? We're gonna have to go bottom. I feel like a lot of my screenshots are kind of laid out this way. Slightly below the vehicle plane, looking up at stuff in the background, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's certainly an inspiring perspective from a photography standpoint, but I do like to get a little bit of variation to them. I don't want them all to look too much the same. I actually don't like any of that color grading. Maybe that one toned back a little bit. The color grading in the camera mode, much like the focus, is very aggressive. You know, photography nerds out there know that when you open your aperture wide up, you know, you're going to get nice wide depth of field, everything nice and crisp. But if you go from a 2 to can't remember what the next step is, but 1% certainly would not have that kind of effect. They've really... Yep. Let's see. Okay, I want the tower in focus. There we go. They've got it pretty touchy, though. That's better. I feel like I either do it at 0 or 1%, though. I feel like it's kind of a waste of a setting slider. There we go. Thumbnail. Love it. Since we are doing scouting in the Scout, that seems like as appropriate a thumbnail as any. See, right now I hear no music, and that bothers me. Especially when I'm scouting, because the Scout engines are not nearly as pleasant to listen to as the truck engines, at least to me. Now, see, that sounds good there when you kind of first lay into it, it sounds good, but then after that it sounds like a DeWalt drill. Somebody's just, you know, holding it down, watching it go. But that's it's kind of plagued games for a good long while now. All vehicles, you know, sometimes you get a good ramp up in the RPMs, and then you die out, and sometimes there's just a steady tone. It's on or it's off. Most games don't model that very well. Hey, there's some music. Is there anything we can do on our way? I mean, we could grab that. There's a fuel trailer down here. It is altogether a pain to get to. It's brought back up here. We'll, I think we'll attend to that a different time, though. Previously, I've gone down there in something like the Fleet Star and just craned it into the bed, and that worked really well, so I think we'll probably do that again. Or something similar. Pulling a trailer out of there with a Scout, not a real fun job. It's got to be close enough to the road. If I remember right, that road is awful. You'll notice when we unlocked this region, I made a beeline for this rockfall and immediately unblocked it. And that's because that really opens up the rest of the map. Like, you can get anywhere you need to once you take that rockfall out of the picture. That and this bridge down here. So if you come over here and you bring 2 planks, 2 spare service parts, you're set to roll. But this road back here is the intended Scout route. You know, they assume that you'll come in, you'll open the garage, but that you're in here with a Scout, you don't have any cargo haul, and that you'll take this way over to get that tower. And there's not really a good way to get to it. This all back in here is pretty muddy. It's not like the swamp muddy, but it's still challenging terrain, especially in something bigger than a Scout vehicle. I've tipped a lot of trailers and trucks down that exact track before I realized that it was just infinitely better to drive around it where and when possible. But to get that Scout tower, this is our watchtower, excuse me, it's just kind of the way to go. Oh, axle deep in the forbidden pudding right off the bat. There we go. But you'll see there's a lot of boulders and stuff back in here and some odd cambers on the road. And they definitely knew what they were doing. We're going to run into some mud holes back here that very much encourage you to drive around them where possible, and doing so gets you into a mess. I'm certain that is by design. There we go. Ooh, about. Whew, I'm still getting used to that crawler suspension. That I know in my heart of hearts that it has a lot of sag and sway in it before you're going to tip over. And I'm fairly certain that they also adjusted the Scout 800's center of gravity when they tuned it a little bit, because it sticks to the road really well now, almost as good as the Jeeps do. And for all the hate I've shown the Jeeps, I do have to give them that kudo. They just don't flip very often. And I think we can get through this. Oh, or not. Or definitely not. Wow, this engine has absolutely no tolerance whatsoever. I mean, it does, because the fact that it still starts and runs at all at that low of a health is impressive. But we're going to repair that. It's going to burn fuel if we don't. Wow, 20 out of 150. Different engines, for those that don't know, have different thresholds. For example, the Tatarin 420 scout vehicle that you find in Tamir, you can't put a snorkel of any kind on that vehicle, but the engine in it can take up to 97% damage. So 3% left before it begins to affect its power output and its fuel consumption. So the moral of that story is, it can't take a snorkel, but as long as you don't just sit and idle in a puddle of water over the top of the vehicle, you'll probably be alright. Apparently, whatever engine is in this Scout is not so robust. Hey! Oh, there's that saving. And I am ashamed to admit that I have, if not readily at hand in storage, a solid-state drive to fix that exact problem. And I have just been too lazy to clone it and install it. That got us hungry workers and more fuel. Where was more fuel? Oh, it's up here. And also this upgrade. So that's going to be our next target. And this section here is where I've rolled the most vehicles. And I'm fairly certain in a Scout we can get away with the upper path with, oh, good grief, with less trouble. I will say, manipulating the map is much easier with a mouse. So we're going to go grab that first. Whoa. Boy, that's a wee bit sensitive. There we go. That's better. So here they kind of give you a choice of high road or low road. And the high road, if you've got a trailer, forget about it. If you've got a longer frame truck, probably also forget about it. It's just not worth the hassle. And when I say longer framed truck, I mean like the HX 520 or the International Twin Steer, Pacific P12, things like that. Those are going to be a real hassle up in here. Although maybe not the P12. It's got some pretty meaty rubber on it. See how I use that rock to kick it around there? But going the other way is a serious mud bog, and going the way I just went is a good way to tip a truck or a trailer or both. So I would say if you're going to use this forest road, for lack of a better term, exercise good caution. And that mud is also terrible, so I'm just going to pass go and collect my $200 here. Brings us out to the main drag. Not bad progress. Do we have a fuel trailer down here? Oh no, because we haven't. Yep, I'm looking the wrong way. We do not. Usually I station a fuel trailer somewhere down along through here, sometimes on the other end. Honestly, we might put it down this way this time. And then, of course, I'll have something available. Oh, I do have the GMC up there. Okay. Trying not to squirrel too hard today. Not helped by the fact that I'm fairly scatterbrained and it's been a minute since I recorded one of these. But we'll get to it. I honestly don't remember what this upgrade is. I just know I want it. We want all of the upgrades. I've been doing a lot of testing in my single player time off screen, trying to figure out how in God's name I'm going to get through the Russian maps with North American trucks. And I'm not saying it's impossible. There's others who have done it, but I'm just not that good at the game, folks. I'm reasonably good. I get around, I have a good time, but that is, I'm just not sure that's a level of patience I possess. We're going to give it a try, though. Nothing quite like a self-imposed challenge to add to your Type 2 fun. Hey, engine upgrade. It's for this truck. We probably won't put it in there. For all of the reasons mentioned before about Scouts and power-to-weight ratio already being incredibly good. And if we're being honest, it's pretty wasted on Scouts. Like, they don't need power-to-weight beyond the ability to pull themselves and maybe a trailer. Depending on the region. Like, once we get into Cola, whatever I'm driving, I will need to haul a prototype exploration trailer or buy and deploy an earth roamer, one or the other. And they are North American, so they're on the table. I don't own that DLC yet, though. I very well may by the time we get to it, though. And I feel like we are burning an awful lot of fuel in this thing. Because we just filled up not that long ago. And we're already down to 4 gallons. I mean, this thing carries almost 4 tanks of fuel. Or just over 4 tanks. I can't recall which. I'm also just now noticing we've got that wonderful ambient music going. I wish it was more consistent. So we're going to come down here, slip back in there and grab those 2 and any upgrades we find. When I say we're going to accept scout tasks, I mean ones that are a pain to come back to. So like down this island, there's a scout task, and we're going to do it while we're over there, because after that there is no reason whatsoever to go back up in that mountain. And the goofiest thing would be to come and hit these watchtowers and not do that. Because then we have to waste time to go do it, go back over there, do it again, and time is gas, and gas is money. And that is the challenge we've set ourselves, right? We have to pay for all of our goodies and all of our services. So using up more gas is not ideal. I am really enjoying the scouting effort. Okay, I've flipped it, what, once? That's really not too bad a track record for me on a Scout. I'm much more prone to flip a Scout than I am a truck. Simply because it's got the autonomous winch. Let's do low-high here and just see if we can get by with 2-wheel drive. And a locked-up rear end. Because, whoa, Nelly, there we go. See, that would have been a great spot to have kind of led in with with a safety line to start with. I don't even remember what I was saying now. Probably something about how I better not be used to the autonomous winch too much, because I'm only going to have it on scouts for this playthrough. At least so far as I can think. I don't think... I mean, I guess kind of the F750 counts as the American medium truck that gets an autonomous winch, but it's classed as a scout. And for those who are not super familiar with the game, there are a couple of Russian trucks that are technically like mid-grade heavy-duty trucks, but they're smallish, so they end up also getting an autonomous winch, a medium autonomous winch as opposed to a scout. But I don't think there's any North American vehicles that fit that category. Well, you know what? We could run the high ring and probably do way better on fuel. I keep forgetting. I spent a lot of time running highway boxes in our multiplayer, and so I sometimes forget that high range isn't necessarily going to send me flying across the map. Because the off-road box, the Snowrunner gearbox, or the off-road for your heavier trucks, its high range is a little more reasonable than the highway gearbox high range. A lot of highs in that sentence as a whole. What do we get? So we are going to have to go up there to get that task. And this upgrade. We'll do those on the way back, because this kind of works as a big loop. And we won't be able to go south. So let's pop through the drilling site, grab that. I can't remember if there's anything up in this corner, but we can take that road back out, discover the log station. There is a trailer full of wood that we can pick up and find something to do with, and then we'll swing down, grab that upgrade, and then pop up through the hills here and get those two tasks up at Bill's house. And then I think the play after that is to come on down over here. There's kind of two ways to get to this island over here. You can come down here where we pulled the White Western Star out and cross over there, and it kind of puts you in the middle of the island. Or you can come all the way south and take that road in, or you can use this crossover road we were on earlier and come down here. And this isn't terrible. We might do that. It kind of makes more sense to do that central island long ways, for lack of a better term. So let's get back over here between these bridges. And let me tell you, this is a place we're going to be back in here doing deliveries later on, and I'm going to be cussing about those two bridges, don't you worry. That double bridge arrangement is awful for semi-trailers. Although, I will say it's better than the tire track width ones that they have in some of the Eurasian maps. And I don't know if those are more common over there, like if they use a lot of the, for lack of a better description, like the military temporarily deployed bridges, or if that's just a design choice they've made in the game. But you seem to end up with a lot of, just wide enough for tires, and it's tires width apart bridges over there, versus actual bridges with, filled in middle that you can kind of dance around on a little bit. Here's that camera creep sneaking up on me again. So down through here. This is, if you're going to come back here, bring a lower truck. do yourself a favor. Bring stuff back here like the Step 310, the White Western Star, trucks that are pretty low to the ground, because a lot of this terrain is not going to be hindered by that. And this particular section we're in right here, as well as this section over here, with a top-heavy truck, it's a great way to end up rolled over, and I've certainly done it a number of times. But for bigger loads, like if you're coming up here with the special mission trailers, which you will, I would recommend coming back through the farm, going up around the log station, and taking the long way. It's much more travel, but it's got a way better success rate, in my opinion. Obviously, as always, do what's fun for you. If you're better at the game than me, or just enjoy a good challenge, then, by all means, take the high saddle trailer this way. As for me, I've done it. I've conquered it. I don't ever care to bring one down this road again. It's kind of like Cola. I'm not excited to get back to Cola. Cola's a pain. And in our multiplayer session, we have wrapped up in Wisconsin, and the next time we get together to play, which I am hoping will be Saturday evening. It's really kind of a Saturday-Sunday thing for us. It's when I am available, and since I'm the one hosting that game, that's what makes sense, I guess. But we will be starting Amur, or Amur, however you pronounce it. How is it pronounced? Well, it's spelled Amur, but I think it's Amur. Amur? I don't know. I've heard it's the absolute worst map, though. I've never played on it. In fact, I've played Michigan, Alaska, Tamir, Kola, Yukon, and Wisconsin. I've never been on any part of Amur. I've not been to Dawn at all, or Maine, or Tennessee, or the Glades. I've gone into Ontario for the express purpose of getting the Dairy Special. And the rest of these maps I haven't touched. Haven't bought some of them. But we'll get there. I am fairly excited about the amount of content this is going to offer, because I can play Snowrunner for a very long time and not run out of things to do. I am super excited to get done with Michigan, though. I'm not gonna lie. Because I got back into playing, and I was playing on Michigan. And then I started a hardcore mode, and was playing on Michigan. And then I started a YouTube series, and I'm on Michigan. And if I'm being blunt, I'm tired of Michigan. You gotta be kidding me. I can't go up and over that little tiny pine tree. There we go. This mud's a little thicker than I remember. Alright, so here is the oil field. What do they call it? Drilling site. I don't think there's anything up here for our benefit. There is a curtain side trailer. If I remember right, that's a mission trailer. I think I'm remembering right, based on that big yellow interaction zone there. Since we're driving right by it, no reason not to grab it. Oh, I remember this one. We'll accept it, but I ain't excited to try it. That particular one would have us drag that curtain side trailer down here through the river, and at the present, I don't believe we have a vehicle that will do that at all. So we will put that one on the back burner for now, and come on back to it at a later date. For the moment, we need to go around back here and get this watchtower. And there is a specific direction you want to come at this from, because pretty much every other path is a path through roof rack deep mud. And the beach up here is, it's workable. I almost always run off to the side through here just to get a little better traction. That high gear to work for us. Although I do enjoy the Scout 800. It kind of clunks when it shifts. Sounds a bit more the way it should. But not all of them do that. So for this watchtower, what you want to do is kind of work your way over here till you're across from that big rock on the coast, and then snake your way back in. And it'll have you going through some cattails, but I promise that's the way to go. If you've got, bigger tires, bigger vehicle, you come up here and you're scouting in a Fleet Star or something with a load of beams on the back, you might do okay. Yeah. So right in here somewhere, we're not quite up to the rock on the map, but this is kind of where you want to cut in. And then, just trying to make sure I'm pointed the right way, yep. And then just send it. And kind of get across that marshy bit there. Use this bit of dry land here. And then this you're just going to have to slog through, but it's not terrible. There are winch points. There we go. And then I'm pretty much... I think I actually missed that just a little bit. Because this right here looks like a way better path. And it is a way better path. Okay, so ignore what I said. Don't go over there and across. Use that little land bridge. Get up here on some dry ground. Let's take a look here. Okay, so there's tasks up there, which is good. There's a trailer up there. Does it have anything on it? 2 steel beams. Forrester's house. What's that got on it? I don't know what that symbol is. Steel rolls, maybe? I don't think so, though. I don't think we deliver steel rolls in Michigan. Vehicle parts, maybe? I'm not sure. But we'll go up here. We will accept solid foundation up at Norton's house, and then we'll make our way over to get the upgrade in these 2 tasks. And we'll be ready to move on. Whoops. I don't think I really need markers now. Once you're this far over on this map, there's not a lot of other places to go but the right direction. And thankfully it's a bit drier back here also. He says, right as he finds himself a world-class mud pie. Hey, there's my tunes. I appreciate the effort they put into the soundtrack for this game. Because it's all that, like, soft, bluesy, outlaw instrumental, if you will. And it does a really good job, I think, of capturing the landscape. Like, when you're in Kola and you're in Amandra, and you're, out in the absolute middle of BFE, the music makes you feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere. And it's not an easy task to do with video game soundtrack. To make desolation into a sound is difficult. But they did a pretty good job, I think. And here in Michigan, you've kind of got that nice blues rock thing going. I really enjoy it. I think it pairs well with the gameplay. Honestly, the fuel burn is not okay, it's pretty terrible if I'm being honest. I was gonna say it's not so bad in this truck, but honestly, it's pretty terrible. I think the 1500 and the Jeep were both peaking at like 1.6, 1.7. And this thing's going up into the high 2s under load in the mud. And I do understand part of it's the engine, right? I mean, it's I want to say it's a V8 in the Scout 800. I'd be genuinely surprised if the truck didn't have a V8 in it also, though. Whereas I'm sure the Jeep is supposed to be a straight 6 as it is in real life. Well, I say that. I assume they're still straight 6s. I know like the 90s and early 2000s were predominantly, if not all. Okay, so that's a haul 'em here job. That's not terrible. I will say it's kind of nice the way I've been bopping around maps, because I don't necessarily always remember everything. And it's nice to still be surprised. Like, I don't remember doing this mission at all in any of my playtime. Going up into the nosebleed section. And for those who don't know, it is often helpful when you're laying out your waypoints to, less is more most of the time. I'm putting quite a few down here, but if I'm like routing all the way across the map, I will frequently use intersections. So like once I'm done with this, I'm going to want to come back up here. So I'll put one here, and then another one just above it on the other road to indicate there's a turn there. And same thing on the way back down, because I'm going to stay on that road. But when we get to this intersection, I want to go this way. This intersection, I want to go that way. There's that kind of 2-waypoint per intersection system works really well for me. Some people like to go in and, be a little more niche with it and kind of put down a few more and give themselves a good smooth curve. I don't really care about it that much. It's like I said, most of the time you're following a road of some kind or a known shortcut. Like when I get here, I'm going to just follow the road. It's going to be obvious to me that I can't really go this way. And by the time I need another waypoint, there's going to be one right in front of me. So that's kind of my waypoint logic. I don't know, if that helps anybody or not. I'm sure most people that play the game, like most things in life, you kind of work out what works for you and go with that. This seems like a bit of a mess. I did come up here in my hard mode save that I've been just doing for my own kicks and giggles. I made a delivery up here to... Oh, we're out of gas. Yeah, this thing's really sucking back the fuel. But I made a delivery up here to this little... whatever it is. There's 2 steel beams there. But on that trailer, they're not going anywhere anytime soon. Oh, let's get away from this. You want to avoid things like that. That's kind of a desert. If you're looking at it, especially from up here, if you're coming in from like the bottom here like I was, you get stuck in the middle, that's a great way to get stranded with no winch points around. So that just goes to show you want to slow down a little bit and make sure you're keeping yourself on a sustainable path. And that's just a good rule of thumb for the game in general, even when you're not, scouting or kind of flying through, just like right here. I want to go left. If I do that, I'm 100% going to tip. Unless I'm already down in that mud pit. Yeah, that was less than perfect. Come on, Snowrunner physics. I was in a picture-perfect position for you to just let me flip over. And you took that away from me. Not really sure why. This is comical. Further proof that quick winch is useless. See, that was not difficult. That's all we had to do. If it would just grab the tree I wanted when I wanted it, this would all be so much smoother. What is going on here? Apparently it does not want me to use the mouse. Annoying. Weird flex, but okay. Man, look at the side of that thing. What a mess. Alright, I guess the only real option here is to slog through the mud. Well, we're past most of it, I guess. Yeah, that's a hell of an obstacle, truthfully. Because you know, we're going to end up here in a big truck and get hung up and all that. May or may not have forgotten about this little treasure. It's okay, I think we can skirt it in the Scout. In fact, I think I skirted it when I came up here the last time in a bigger truck. I will say I don't remember what I was driving. Probably the Fleet or the White Western Star at this point in the game. I don't see myself bringing one of the highway trucks or the twin steer up in this mess. There we go, that's not so bad. Can't get away without four-wheel yet. And as promised, there's my waypoint, and if I remember right, yep, I need to go left here. It's funny with that quick winch, if you've got the screen in just the right spot, dead center of the screen is what it tries to winch to. And if you've got it, you know, near perfect, it usually grabs what you want. But if you're off by just a hair, it picks the least useful thing it can find. It's almost like its own little Murphy's Law. One of those quirks of the game. Yeah, that wasn't terrible. We've made the logging station. We're just going to cut right on through here. Do watch out cutting anywhere over here. There are stumps aplenty right in through there, and they're there to stop you from having fun. I guess I should have went the other way around this mud hole, huh? Well, no, not necessarily. Oh, good lord. What the hell is this? This is me not being smarter than my own waypoints. That's what that is. We kind of boogered up our back bumper there a little bit, didn't we? Oh, let's just let that save thing go by. Yeah, we boogered that up something fierce. Front fenders, front bumpers trashed. This has been a rough run on this truck. I am, personally, I'm trying to keep the cosmetic damage down to a minimum. A dull roar, if you will. Just because it's so expensive to fix that. Because the only way to fix cosmetic damage is a full repair at the garage. And most of the time, you don't really need it. Kind of wish there was either an option to repair cosmetic only, or make it a category that can be repaired, or just make it so that whenever you go back to the garage you can repair that for free and not repair anything else. So here we have our next challenge. And now that I'm looking at it, the correct way to do this is from the other side. You kind of want to come up and get this from the south. I wasn't thinking earlier. Because in my opinion, it's much easier. You can come up here. It's pretty easy to like skirt up this little hill here and then dodge over and get it. Whereas the direction we're coming from, we're going to have to kind of flirt with the high camber off to either side here, and it's not really pleasant either way we go. So we're going to start by getting in low gear here. No reason to get in a hurry to flip over. We might as well do it at a nice leisurely pace. Gentlemanly rollover in the wilderness, if you will. Stately, even. A nice stately pace. Oh man, I feel like I'm playing with fire here. Okay, that wasn't as bad as I anticipated, if I'm being honest. I don't really know that that's harder than the other way now that I've done it this way. I think the problem is I used to just drive through mud a lot. Transtar engine, okay. I do want to make more use of that. Well, my controller just died. Prepared YouTuber for the win. So, I'm going to have to go to keyboard and mouse after all. This is going to be painful, and for that I apologize. Oh man. Changing gears or shifting the mouse is going to take some getting used to. I do wish there was a low reverse gear, because with keyboard, you don't get the trigger sensitivity you get on an Xbox controller. You know, those are axes with a range of motion on them, and keyboard and mouse, you've got a keystroke, and it's either on or it ain't. So really, your only speed control on keyboard and mouse is which gear you're in. Am I really not near anything to quick winch to? Sure am. We'll try the old wiggle steering here. And we're kind of making progress. If we can get close enough to grab that stump over there, we'll be in good shape. Turned out we didn't need the stump. I am A-okay with that line of thinking. Let's see, what remains? And that is so twitchy. There we go. North-south. Yeah, it looks like going to get the tasks up at Bill's house was next on our list, and then we'll pretty much be done with the north half of the map. We've got the island to knock out, which we'll do next. And then this watchtower over here will pretty much reveal the remainder. And then we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 on Drummond to get. And I think we've actually done Island. Well, nope, we haven't. We got a lot of work to do. That's alright, though. We'll get her done, eventually. Oh, come on, baby. There we go. This mud is really deceiving, because if you look at it, the texture is not super wet looking, but it's definitely not ideal. Let's see what happened to the music there. We were vibing, we were having a good time, and it just up and stopped. So I'm going to go ahead and say it now. I think for the next episode I will dub the ambient soundtrack over in my video. It's from a copyright perspective, it shouldn't be any different than it naturally occurring in the game like this. And at least that way it'll be consistent, which it is sorely lacking at the moment. Yeah, I guess, hey, one advantage to playing keyboard and mouse. I should have way fewer problems with the camera. The driving is still going to be an issue, clearly. This feels weird. I haven't played anything keyboard and mouse in months. Other than a few brief minutes here and there in this exact situation where I've allowed my controller to run dry. Well, that's the road right there. Man, that one kind of sneaks up on you. Everything else here looks so much like a washout. At least we're making quick progress up here. I can only spend so much time crawling through mud before it really frustrates me. Yeah, there's some technical driving here and there, but the maps, specifically the places that are just all mud, I don't particularly enjoy those, because beyond choosing a good path, it's just, you know, romp on the gas until you get through it, in some cases, and that's not particularly fun, in my opinion. I mean, it's certainly gameplay, I can't complain about that. Is there another house up here? Oh yeah, we're driving right through Bill's house, okay. Let's add another waypoint. Just for giggles. See if I can go through here without tearing up Bill's yard too much. Oh, sorry about your fence, Bill. It's alright. It'll straighten up and you'll never even know. So it looks like old Bill here is going to need a delivery of some kind. But I think we're going to call it there for this episode. I know it's a little short of what we normally do, but we'll be back soon enough. And next time, of course, we're going to come down here and take on the island. Well, it's not really an island, I guess. It's an island in the game because it is fairly well separated from everything else by that river. But in actuality, it is connected in many places, so I guess it's not technically an island. But we're going to knock that out. We'll come over, we'll get this last watchtower, and then I don't see any reason we can't do all of that and get down to Drummond and get it knocked out all in one episode. Honestly, this up here is kind of a slog. You know, we spent the better part of the episode working our way around this northwest corner here. But hopefully the audio balancing was a little better that episode. Like I said, next time around, I'm just going to lay the background music in after the fact in post, because the coming and going of it in the game itself kind of bothers me. But we'll get there when we get there. As always, thanks for stopping in, hanging out. If you enjoyed it, hit the like button, and if you want to see more, as always, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time, folks.